Hey guys, Martin Mentor here, back with another video. All right, so this video is going to be a story time video. It's actually a video, well, a story that it's not a recent story. The story is about 6 years old, but it was around Christmas time, and it was involving a account that I had around Christmas. So I know I did a video maybe like in June or July. Maybe it was sometime in the summertime. I know I was in the truck when I did the video. And I was talking about, getting accounts. There's a bunch of accounts that you can get out there with smaller companies, whether local companies or startup companies, just companies that have opportunity, but they don't have a lot of opportunity enough to like go through a third party logistics company. So what they'll do is they'll look for you could say independent owner operators, but sometimes on a little bit larger scale, like a master IC, a master independent contractor. Master independent contractor is someone that has like 3 or more trucks. All right, so I don't hear that term used nowadays like how it was used years ago, because you have master contractors, but they're not as prevalent nowadays as they were then, because now you have a lot more independent contractors, as there's a lot more opportunity for independent owner operators to own their own box trucks with like Amazon and all the gig opportunities, and just with the e-commerce boom, how it's taken off in like the last 5 or so years. So opportunities are more abundant now. So anyway, so this was a company. It's no longer in business. I'm going to get into that. I'm going to try to make the story as quick as possible. The purpose of the story, one, is a Christmas time story, and it's around Christmas. 2, it can be taken as a learning lesson, so the mistakes that I made, and also how I was able to, I guess you can say, overcome it, and get over it. And as far as what I had to do morally and ethically, and then 2, understanding that if you do decide to deal with, smaller companies, startup companies, there's a little bit more risk at stake versus when you're dealing with a larger like third-party logistics company. Now, when you're dealing with a smaller company, obviously the earning potential is better, right? Because you're dealing with that company direct, because they're growing. But you run the risk of, when things happen, they don't have that security blanket like a larger company. All right, so let's get into it. All right, so this is a company that worked, it was a Christmas tree company. So what they did was they sold Christmas trees online. Back then they were using Groupon. All right, so they weren't selling them. They were selling them directly from their website, but they also sold them on Groupon. The most of the trees that they did sell were on Groupon. Groupon was really big 10 years or so ago. Kind of Oprah put them on the map. All right, so what they did was they offered a Groupon, and then people were able to get them off Groupon at a discounted rate versus going to the actual website. All right, so the name of the company, it's defunct now. It's called 5-Star Christmas Tree. I'm going to show you some of the horror stories that people have written about them over the years, because the way they exited, it was just kind of foul, and I got caught up in that. All right, so the first year that I dealt with this company was 2011. All right, started in 2010, right? And back then, I was hungry. Like I tell people now, when you're getting into the industry now, you got to be hungry. It's a lot more fierce now. There's more opportunity, but it's also a lot more competition. All right, so I had that hunger back then in 2011. I had only been in a year, so I was looking for opportunities. Now, this company was a startup themselves. I think they had only been in business maybe a year or 2 at that point. So I saw this opportunity on Craigslist. I used to surface Craigslist a lot, and the gigs part of Craigslist for opportunities. I saw this opportunity for a company, and this was in September, that was already promoting, we need people to deliver Christmas trees. All right, so boom, I apply. They email me back. We going through a series of emails, the vetting process, things of that nature. Long story short, I got through the vetting process. I can't remember exactly what the onboarding process was, but it was a newer company, so it wasn't that difficult. Now, one of the key things that they wanted was storage for the trees. All right. So the way it worked is, this is a company who was a startup company. They sold Christmas trees online delivered to your home. That was the gimmick. You can buy the Christmas tree online from their website, and it would get delivered to your home. All right. So the way they worked is, they would sell the trees online through their website or Groupon, most coming through Groupon because people got the discount. They would already have the trees pre-ordered from a tree farm up in Michigan. All right. And then from there, the trees would get delivered, the first week of December, last week of November, first week of December is when the trees usually start to arrive. And they would get delivered to multiple, all the cities throughout the country that they sold trees to whoever was going to be the final mile provider or carrier locally to deliver the trees. And then you would deliver the trees. All right. So that was the system. All right, so fast forward to December of 2011. All right, I got the account. We're onboarded. Now, one of the key things that they wanted was the storage. Getting back to that, I didn't have a warehouse at that time. I had only been around for a year. So this is what I go when I talk. You gotta do some things in the beginning when you're building your business that like I basically lied to this company and told them I had a storage, a warehouse. They didn't check, they didn't do the due diligence, but this was a contract. The earning potential was there, and I wanted to make the money. So I'm smart. So I said, you know what? I forget the amount of trees the first year we did, probably like 500 or 600 trees. What my idea was, when the semi truck comes with the trees, I'll just give them an address and I'll just bag the 26 footer and back to back to the semi truck, and then we'll just walk the trees from the semi truck into the 26 footer. So we filled up like 1.5 26 footers. All right. So that's what I used for the storage. And, obviously when the trees got delivered, they were already on the truck. So I kind of outsmarted them because I didn't want to say, no, I didn't have a storage. I didn't have a warehouse, because I didn't want to turn away the account. So I just, was smart and just kind of lied to them and did what I had to do to get that opportunity. All right. So boom, the truck comes. I think it was the last week of November, right after Thanksgiving or whatever. Had the 226 footers there. We loaded up one, pulled the other one up, backed it up to it, loaded up the other one. All right. Now from there, we have to deliver the trees. So you deliver the trees. If a person ordered the stand, you deliver the tree in the stand. And then the third option, tree stand with setup. You go into the person's house, you put this tree in the stand, you set it up. Every delivery you did, you had to take the picture. All right. Also, when you did a delivery, you had to do a fresh cut. So when you pulled up to someone's house to deliver a tree, when you picked the size tree, they came in three sizes: 6 to 7, 7 to 8, and 8 to 9 feet. So 6 to 7 feet, 7 to 8 feet, and 8 to 9 feet. Obviously, the bigger the tree, the more money it was. All right. So when you pull up to a person's house to do the delivery, before you put the tree on the person's doorstep, you have to cut a 1/2 inch off the bottom of the tree, you know what I'm saying, so it can take in water. All right. So the first year I did it, they said just buy, or they sent me two hacksaws or whatever. So each stop I had to do that. So we did that. I was running 2 trucks to deliver those trees because I had 5 days to do it. I think it was like 500 trees that first year, 2011. Long story short, 2011 went fine. So the following year, they contacted me again, which was 2012. That went fine. 2013, fine. 2014, fine. 2015, fine. Now we hit 2016. So now I've been running with this company for these 4 or 5 years, right? Get to 2016. Now the way these guys pay you was, normally they would send me half the money up front. All right. They would send half the money up front, and then you get the other half, upon completion of the route. So the routes usually take about 4 or 5 days or whatever, depending on how you want to run it. The more trucks, obviously, the quicker you get it done. All right. Now, since this was a startup company in 2011, when I first started working with them around the holiday season, obviously, as years went on, they got bigger and bigger and bigger. So the orders got bigger and bigger and bigger. All right. And same thing, 2011, by the time I was 2016, I had a fleet of trucks, warehouse, all of that. Right. So boom, 2016 gets here. The tree farm is in Michigan. So we would always be the first stop for whatever semi truck was, delivering trees on a route. All right. So 2016, I remember we got 800 trees. We got 800 trees, which was about maybe half of maybe a little less than half of the semi truck trailer, because the trees are, they're stacked, and then each tree, depending on the size, whether it was a 6 to 7, 7 to 8, or 8 to 9, had a ribbon. The ribbons were yellow, red, yellow, and green. Red was the 6 to 7, yellow was the 7 to 8, green was the 8 to 9. That's how you tell the size when you look at the order form when you're doing a delivery, to know what size is what. They had them tagged. So, all right. So the semi truck comes 2016 to the warehouse, backs into the dock at the warehouse, unloading the trees, sorting them out. 800 trees. Now they always send extra trees. They usually send around 50, 60 extra trees, and I usually just get those out to people around Christmas time, less fortunate people, friends and family, things of that nature. All right, so now here's where it gets tricky. 2016, they changed up the model. All right, this year they didn't pay half up front, which was strange, but it was what it was. By 2016, I had already been working with them since 2011, so we already had a rapport, so I kind of trusted them. All right, so they didn't pay up front. They changed the whole strategy setup or whatever. Then they also introduced this app system. All right, where they had an app built for 2016 where the drivers could each stop, they could take a picture from the app, and those people over at the company would see that the deliveries, you mark off the delivery. The customer would have an app on their end, or I think they would receive some type of email. No, they had an app on their end as well, because then that's how they tipped. I'm going to talk about the tips too later. All right, so boom, I had to run 3 trucks this year, Monday through Friday. They want the trees delivered within a week, so I ran 3 trucks to get those trees out. They sent me 800 trees. It was like, man, they gave me like an extra 100 trees that year, so like 700 of them had to be delivered by Friday. All right, so boom, and this is through the city and suburb. So when we got the trees, I did all the routing, scheduled the 3 trucks to start the route 6, 7 in the morning the following week. All right, all the trees are delivered. Mind you, we had been working with this company since 2011, so obviously we were doing a good job because they kept coming back to us. All the trees are delivered. All right, they got everything because it's app based now, so they see all the trees. There's no issues. Whatever customers got a tree in the stand, they got the tree in the stand. Whatever customers got a setup, they got the setup. By this time, I had learned the system, so I had already invested in electric powered saws so that the crews can, when they had to cut that 1/2 inch off the bottom of the tree, it would be quicker, so they wouldn't have to use that hacksaw to do that. They could just whoop and put the tree on the porch and get to the next stop. All right, so week later, after the delivery, so the following week, still no money. So I email them, call them, like, man, what's up with the money? Okay, you're going to get it. Now, mind you, the first week of Christmas, the first week of December is when these trees got delivered. So let's say sometime between the 1st or the 5th, or whatever the first week of December was back in 2016. All right, trees delivered following week, still no money. All right, now we halfway through December, still no money. Now, mind you, I had to run 3 trucks to deliver 700 trees, right? So these are costs that I assumed out of pocket. The company assumed consume these costs out of pocket, all right? So now, this crew that did this 2 weeks ago is payday, right? So it cost me $4,000 in cost to deliver all these trees. So from payroll to fuel, and whatever the cost, whatever the costs were, that's what it cost me. It was $4,000. All right. Now, with this app-based system that they had now, I knew what we got paid to deliver each tree. I knew what the pay was to deliver a tree and a stand, and I knew what the pay was to deliver a tree with stand and setup, right? So as you deliver your cost, the app was add up what your, amount you earned. Boom. So we were like $11,027, right? Pay time comes, obviously payroll comes for the crew that did that 2 weeks prior, $4,000. I pay them out their pay. Now, mind you, there was a tip-based incentive on this app this time. So even though I paid them, they were inquiring, well, what's up with the tips? How much tips we got? I said, well, I don't know what the tips are. You know what I'm saying? Because they didn't pay me yet. As soon as they pay me, then I can see the tips. Or, I could see the tips in the app. So what I told the crew was, look, they didn't even pay me yet. So, I know that's not y'all fault. But, y'all work for the company. It's my responsibility whether I get paid or not. So here's y'all pay. As far as the tips go, I feel you. But when they pay me, then I give you your tips. You know what I'm saying? Because in my head, what if they don't pay? I'm not responsible for the tips. I'm responsible for the payroll. So I paid them the payroll. All right. Now it's Christmas time. Still no money. Now, they're not answering the phone. They just responding by email. January comes, still no money, not answering the phone, responding to email. So now by the end of January, I go to Yelp and I see all the other contractors from all over the country are already leaving Yelp reviews about how they didn't get paid. On top of that, I see customers leaving bad reviews saying that they didn't get their tree. All right. Now, my market got trees. All right. So now here's why a lot of people in other markets didn't get their trees. That year, there was a really bad storm in Michigan, like end of November, going into December. So a lot of trees at the tree farm were buried with snow. All right. They had already been cut down and just stacked by size. Because even the trees that I got, since we're in Chicago, coming from where the tree farm is in Michigan, as that semi truck was going south, we would always be the first stop. So we got our trees. Now the trees that we got that year, a lot of them were frozen because they had been buried in snow. All right. A lot of the trees that were up there were really buried. So not every market got their tree. Now, this is where the issue came in on why this company got messed up. And this is where the lesson can be learned. When you're dealing with a startup company, a company that, may not have that much funding yet, it was a good idea, but this company wasn't one of those companies where they just had millionaires and billionaires doing series round funding into them. All right. So when that snowstorm hit and a lot of those trees were buried, a lot of markets didn't get their tree. All right. So as far as the way that 5 Star handled business with the tree farm, I think they had been doing business with the tree farm for so long. They had some type of credit system. They were getting trees on credit with the promise to pay. So when they sold trees, I believe the tree farm was giving them like a net 60 or a net 90, something like that. It was something to the fact that, they still owed the tree farm. Now, the way Groupon works is a lot of those people, a lot of the trees they sold were on Groupon. Now, Groupon holds that money. It's just like Eventbrite and some of these other apps that you go through, like if you sell tickets and things of that nature. When you're buying things on these apps, through these apps, they hold the money for a period of time, even after the sale ends and it's cut off, to see if there's going to be any discrepancies or any claims, because they don't want to be held liable. And if there are, then they refund that money. There were so many discrepancies with this company that year that Groupon never released that money to this company, because a lot of people in a lot of other markets didn't get their Christmas trees. All right. So because Groupon didn't release that money, this is the money that this company needed to pay everybody, They couldn't even refund the people who ordered trees, paid Groupon, and didn't get their trees because Groupon was holding all this money. So it's like I felt bad, but then again, like at the end of the day, well, you know what? It's business. I've taken plenty of losses in business, but it's never, I can never tell my workers, well, this company didn't pay, or here's a loss here, and I can't pay you. You always got to have money for losses. So, money wasn't an issue. I paid them. It was bad timing because one, it's Christmas, right? All right. So that's the $4,000 it cost me. Okay. It was $4,000. It was Christmas. So I still had to celebrate Christmas and buy gifts and all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? And then on top of that, I had other personal investments going on. I was closing on a property on the 30th of that month. I had a lot of financial obligations in December of 2016 that, me taking a loss, you know what I'm saying, it wasn't good timing. So fast forward, now we're into Christmas of 2017. So now this company has told all the people for 2016 that didn't get their tree that they were going to replace their tree. They didn't refund them. So they had to think of something because they didn't have the money to refund them. So they said, you know what? We're just going to give the tree we missed this year. We're going to give you that tree next year, and we'll give you a free wreath. The following year comes in. They run the same Groupon thing. Now, mind you, they took the loss. These people haven't even gotten their money. Now, this is how it turned from an unfortunate situation into a scam. All right. The following Christmas, they ran this thing again on Groupon. I don't know why Groupon let them do it after the debacle from 2016. They let them do it again. They sold these Christmas trees. They made all this money, and something even to this day, something just still doesn't make sense to me. So I'm thinking maybe it was a scam all along for 2016. I'm thinking it might have been a money grab. All right. Because in 2017, they ran it again, but nobody got their trees. They came up with a different excuse talking about some fires in Sonoma or something like that. I don't know, because I didn't run them. Once they didn't pay me in 2016, I wasn't running with them again. I don't think they hired any contractors to deliver in 2017 because they had no plans of delivering trees anyway. They just took all the money in and ran off. Because I'm going to show you the Yelp reviews of 2016, 2017, and then they basically what they did was they repeated this process for 2017 and 2018 before they finally got shut down. It was actually a news segment about how they were running the scam, and then I guess they were so good at running this scam that they started a Mother's Day wreath company. So they sold a bunch of wreaths on Groupon for Mother's Day, and nobody got the wreaths. So I'm thinking it was a money grab. So what I want to do is I want to look at some of the reviews, and then I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna talk about how I proceeded with the legal aspect of it. So this is the company. As you can see here, it's closed. So we're just going to look at a few reviews. I already got it filtered out. So you got people in 2020 that are still furious about 2016 and 2017. Here's a review. They're talking about 2017. They wrote it in 2020. Let's see. 2017, I got scammed as well. I was told they ran out of trees in 2017. I could wait and not request a refund and get some other products delivered with my tree the next year. I kept that email and other receipts, and when 2018, still nothing. After about 5 attempts, someone got back to me and said they would return my money. After 6 months of that, email no longer works, and now I see they have closed. Nice, very Christmas-like. Another review that was written in 2019 about 2017. Yet another that was scammed. Sounds like they hit a competency limit in 2016 and became failed dogs in 2017, judging by the reviews and myself that all got owned in 2017. They also tried a wreath club that I told you about But luckily I didn't get suckered into that. One at least 0 out of 5 jalapenos for them. So just a lot of bad reviews. They, like I said, they I think 2016, they had caught a bad deal. They tried it again in 2017, but I think 2017, the reason why I'm saying 2017 was a scam is because I don't think they had any intentions on delivering trees at all, but they were taking money. So as you can see, it's just a bunch of bad reviews on top of bad reviews. And these are there's some contractors reviews in here, but there's so many reviews to dig through to pull those out. These are all from customers who didn't get their tree. And you see there's 800 and, where is it at? 817 reviews that actually stuck. But then there's another 1,678 reviews that are filtered out. So you're talking about over 2,400, over 2,200 reviews that are just horrible reviews about people who did not receive their trees, and contractors like myself who didn't get paid in 2016. And this is right before Christmas. People are expecting their Christmas trees, and contractors that did these deliveries in 2016 were expecting their money. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about how I went forward handling this legally, and then I'm going to close the video out. All right, so how did I handle the legal aspect of it? All right, basically after, I can't remember when I started contacting lawyers. It was sometime in 2017. It was before the Christmas season of 2017. So probably sometime in the summer, for what I can remember. And I contacted, I dealt with my lawyer first. Then they referred me to another lawyer that was a specialty lawyer. But I kind of already knew that I wasn't going to be able to do anything because, like every consultation I got, all the lawyers, pretty much were asking for the same thing, a $5,000 retainer. So, one of the lawyers said, Mark, do you really want to spend 5 chasing 11? You know what I'm saying? So the retainer is 5. I'm chasing 11 grand, right? So, and there's still a possibility that I still don't get paid. So, is it really worth it? And this is the sentiment that I got pretty much from all the lawyers. Is just this particular lawyer just kind of broke it down to me. And when they said that, when I thought about it, I'm like, man, this is probably just going to be one of them ones I got to take the hit on. Excuse me, which it was. So unfortunately, it cost me $4 grand out of my pocket. I never got the 11 grand that we earned as far as doing the deliveries. Obviously they ran off with the tips. The following year they pulled the same thing again, except no one got trees in any market. So they they sold trees on their website and I believe Groupon again, and no one got trees. So that's why you see all the reviews, all the negative reviews. They ran off with people's money from 2016, 2017. Then 2017, they did that wreath club for Mother's Day. So they ran off with that money. And then none of the contractors that ran in 2016 got paid either. So, what I learned and what other people can learn is, there are opportunities out there with smaller startup companies where you can make a lot of money. But with that, if a company does hit a brick wall, they run into a hard time, this is something that can happen. They can go belly up. All right. So you got to kind of want to be careful with new companies that are startups, that are small. So I learned in that case, when I'm dealing with, independent companies, and especially if I'm dealing with a contract on a certain scale, like that magnitude, like 11 grand, for 1 week, that's a lot of money. It's a lot more money that I'm willing to take a loss on if something falls through. I know this is an industry where it's accounts payable, accounts receivable. So you got to do the run before you get paid. But, you have to be mindful and really do your due diligence with any company you're dealing with. The unfortunate thing about this company, we had already been dealing with them for years. So we already had a rapport, and, there was a trust there. In a situation like that, I feel like there was things that they could have probably done, as far as paying the contractors, maybe take out loans, then again, they might have been leveraged already. They might have just didn't have the money. I don't know. I caught them one time. I hit them off guard. I had called them from a different number, and they answered. And they were, they kind of caught them off guard, you could tell. And, they gave me this sob story about how they were going to pay me the following Christmas and things of that nature. And obviously I never heard from them again. They never paid me. And, for the next 2 or 3 Christmases, every time Christmas came around, I thought about it. But, it was a lesson learned, what I'm saying, in business. When you're running a business, you're going to take losses. And this was a loss I took right before Christmas. And it sucked, but, it is what it is. So I thought I'd share it, because I know what the sentiment is out there now. So it happens to the best of us. It's happened to me. I hope you might have learned something from this story. www.boxtruckcourses.com for your one-on-one with me, Mark the Mentor. Follow me on Instagram. Follow me on Facebook. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. Hit that notification bell so you can stay up to date with all the upcoming videos every Tuesday night here on YouTube, The Mentors Podcast with me, Mark the Mentor. I'm out.